Hey everyone, and welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're diving headfirst into a world where algorithms meet molecules, AI, and drug design. You can think of this deep dive as like having your own personal research assistant, sifting through this mountain of research on how AI is going to revolutionize how we design drugs. We'll mainly be focusing on a recent academic review paper on the topic, and I think you'll be interested to hear how AI could speed up drug discovery, bringing us potentially faster cures and treatment. In fact, this paper had a pretty startling fact in it about the traditional timeline and cost of drug development.
Oh yeah, it's really quite shocking. We're talking about a process that can take a decade, sometimes even longer, and with a price tag that can reach into the billions of dollars.
A decade and billions, that doesn't really sound like we're set up to tackle new diseases or even find better treatments for existing ones very quickly. So where does AI fit into all of it?
Well, AI is stepping in to address the inefficiencies of those traditional methods. Like, just think about all the ways we've traditionally discovered drugs. I mean, sometimes it's by chance, sometimes it was through a very slow and meticulous process, like tweaking existing drugs, making small changes here and there, and even large-scale testing, while important, is kind of like searching for a needle in a haystack.
So AI is going to streamline all of that. Give us the superpower rundown of how it's changing the game.
Absolutely. Imagine AI as a super-powered research assistant that can analyze these huge data sets, sifting through tons of information about how drugs interact with the body. And you know what? It can even make predictions about a drug's effectiveness before we even get to those lengthy and expensive clinical trials.
That's incredible. It's like peeking into the future of medicine. But what kind of predictions are we talking about here? Can you break it down for us?
Well, just think about the complexity of drug-protein interactions. They're essential to understand how a drug is going to behave inside the body. AI can model these interactions, essentially predicting how well a drug will bind to its target protein, which we know is crucial for its effectiveness.
Okay, so I'm seeing how this could shave years off the development and potentially even save tons of money, which is always a good thing. What other superpowers does AI bring to the table?
Well, how about this? Predicting the 3D structure of protein. This is like unlocking a secret code to understand how diseases work at their most basic level, the molecular level. You see, knowing a protein structure is often the key to designing drugs that can affect target. And here's the really interesting part. AI can even design new drug molecules. It's called de novo design, and it's really pushing the boundaries of what we thought was even possible in drug discovery.
Wait, AI can design drugs? That sounds like something straight out of science fiction. It's almost like having an AI chemist in the lab cooking up new molecules.
It's really not as far-fetched as it sounds. These AI models are trained on massive data sets of existing molecules and all their properties. So they develop this deep understanding of molecular structures and how they're related to biological activity. So yeah, AI is designing drugs, and it's actually doing it with a surprising level of accuracy.
Okay, color me impressed. So we've got AI predicting drug interactions, figuring out protein structures, and even creating new drug molecules. But how does it actually learn to do all of this? The paper mentioned that there are different types of AI at play, almost like different approaches to learning.
That's a great way to think about it. Think of them as different learning styles, each with their own strength. We've got supervised, where AI learns from this labeled data, kind of like a student studying from a textbook with all the answers already provided.
So you're feeding the AI tons of information about which drugs work, which ones don't, and it's picking out the patterns.
Exactly. In drug design, this could mean training the AI on a data set about thousands of molecules and all of their known properties. So then the AI uses all of that to make predictions about the properties of new molecules never before.
That makes sense. What about the other learning style?
We also have unsupervised learning, which is more about pattern Imagine you give a student a giant puzzle, but there's no picture on the box. They have to figure out how the pieces fit together all on their own. That's unsupervised learning.
So instead of giving the AI all the answers, we're just setting it loose on a massive amount of data and seeing what kind of connections it makes.
Exactly. Unsupervised learning can be really helpful for things like grouping together similar drug molecules or finding hidden relationships in these huge biological data sets.
So it's like letting the AI explore this big, uncharted territory of data, and it comes back with a treasure map of new insight. What about the third type of learning?
That would be reinforcement learning, which is all about trial and error. Imagine a robot trying to navigate a maze. It tries different paths, receives rewards for successful moves, and is penalized for wrong turns. Through this process, it learns the best way to get through that maze.
So it's like AI is playing a game, figuring out the best moves to design an effective drug.
You got it. Reinforcement learning is a really powerful tool, especially when we're designing new drug molecules. The AI can explore a vast number of combinations, testing out different atoms and bonds, until it finds a molecule that meets the criteria that we're looking for.
This is some fascinating stuff, but it sounds like this requires a lot of brain power, even for AI. Let's dive into the specific AI models making waves in this field in the next part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. Last time we were getting into the different learning styles of AI and how they're really changing the game when it comes to drug design. It's like having a superpowered research assistant at your fingertip. But I kind of want to get into the nitty-gritty here. How are all of these AI approaches being applied in the real world?
Well, it's really an exciting time because we're seeing these applications emerge right before our eyes. One area where AI is already making a huge impact is in virtual screening.
Okay, so walk me through that. What exactly is virtual screening?
Okay, so imagine you have this huge library of chemical compounds, potentially millions of them. Each one could be a potential candidate for a new drug. But traditionally, screening all of those compounds would take forever and be incredibly expensive.
Yeah, I can imagine. It's like trying to find a single grain of sand on a beach, except that grain of sand could potentially cure a disease.
Exactly. That's a great analogy. And that's where AI comes. These AI algorithms can analyze the structures of these compounds and predict which ones are most likely to bind to that specific target protein. And as we talked about before, that's a key factor in drug effectiveness.
So AI is kind of like this super efficient filter, helping scientists zero in on the most promising candidates.
Exactly. It's a total game changer for drug discovery. It allows researchers to prioritize their efforts and resources.
This all sounds incredibly efficient, but I'm also curious about that creative side of drug design. You mentioned de novo design earlier. Can you tell us more about how AI is being used to design completely new molecules?
Oh, it's a rapidly evolving field. The possibilities are just amazing. Think of it this way. We can give an AI model a set of building blocks, like the basic atoms and molecular fragments. And then using all of its knowledge about chemistry and biology, the AI can start piecing them together, exploring tons of different combinations until it finds a molecule with specific properties.
Wow, that's really cool. It's like giving AI a set of Legos and just letting it go wild, building whatever it can imagine. Except in this case, the Legos are atoms, and the final product could be a life-saving drug.
It really is a powerful tool, especially when we're trying to tackle those diseases that haven't responded well to existing drugs.
Right.
AI can come up with these completely novel structures, things that we humans might have never even considered.
Okay, that's mind-blowing. But it sounds like a lot is riding on the AI's ability to actually understand all of these incredibly complex biological interactions.
You're absolutely right, and that's why data is so important. The more data we feed these AI models, the better they become at understanding these intricacies of drug. And it's not even just about designing new drugs. AI is also proving to be incredibly valuable for repurposing existing ones.
Repurposing drugs, so finding new uses for medications that are already out there.
Exactly. It's like finding a hidden talent in somebody you already know. They've always had this ability, you just never knew it.
That's a great way to put it.
AI can analyze all of the data that we have on existing drugs and identify potential new uses, and that could potentially lead to faster treatments for diseases that currently don't have great options.
Wow, so AI is like a matchmaker, finding that perfect pairing between a drug and a disease, even if they weren't originally meant to be together. This is all amazing. But as with any powerful tool, I imagine there are some challenges. What are some of the hurdles that researchers are facing in this field?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is this need for more data. We touched on this before, but AI models are incredibly data hungry. The more data we give them, the better their predictions become.
So it's like feeding a growing child. They always need more. But isn't it a massive undertaking to gather all of this data?
It can be, and sometimes the data might be protected because of privacy reasons, which is completely understandable, especially when it comes to patient data. And other times the data might be proprietary, so companies might not want to share their results.
Right, it's a pretty competitive field after all. Are there any solutions on the horizon?
Well, there are some promising initiatives. There's a growing push towards open source data sharing, where researchers are encouraged to make their findings public. And there's also a lot of research being done to make AI models more efficient. That way they can be trained using smaller data sets.
Yeah, okay, that sounds promising. So what other challenges are researchers dealing with?
Another big one is the issue of interpretability, which we talked about a little earlier. It's awesome that AI can make these really impressive predictions, but sometimes it's kind of like a black box. We don't really understand why AI made a particular prediction.
So it's like having a brilliant but secretive advisor. They give you the answer, but they won't tell you how they got there. But isn't that kind of part of the allure of AI, this ability to see patterns that we as humans just...
It is, but in fields like drug design, where people's lives are at stake, we need more than just a magical answer. We have to be able to understand the reasoning behind the prediction. It's not just about blindly trusting AI, it's about ensuring that those predictions are actually rooted in good science.
Right, that makes total sense. So are researchers trying to find ways to make AI more transparent so we can really look inside that black box and understand how those decisions are being...
Exactly, and that's really crucial for building trust in AI's capability and making sure those predictions are both reliable and safe.
This has been a seriously insightful conversation, but it feels like we've only just scratched the surface of this whole... What else should our listeners know about the future of AI in drug design? Let's get into that in the final part of our deep dive. Welcome back to the deep dive. dive. We spent the last two parts really digging into how AI is changing drug design. I mean, speeding it up, even creating totally new molecules. It's obviously a total game changer. But now I kind of want to talk about the bigger picture. What does all of this mean for the future of medicine?
You know, it's really exciting to think about the possibilities. And we've talked about the challenges with traditional drug design, right? Those crazy long timelines, the insane costs. AI could really change everything, make the whole process faster, more efficient, and hopefully way more successful.
So faster cures, more effective treatments. That's what everyone wants to hear, right? But what does that actually look like? Can you paint us a picture of what this AI-powered future of medicine would actually look like?
Okay, well, just imagine a world where we can develop brand new drugs in a fraction of the time it takes now. Think about those diseases that right now we consider incurable. AI could be the key to unlocking new treatments, maybe even cures for those.
That's wild. It's like the whole idea of personalized medicine is finally within our grasp.
Absolutely. And AI could be a huge part of that. Imagine drugs that are tailored just for you, based on your genes, your lifestyle, even your environment. So instead of this one-size-fits-all approach, we could have treatments that are targeted to exactly what you need.
That would be incredible. But are we talking about some far-off future, or is this something that could actually happen soon?
Well, we're already seeing glimpses of this future, right? AI drug discovery is happening as new drugs are being designed and developed with the help of AI, and some are already being tested in clinical trials.
So this isn't just a fantasy, this is actually happening. But like with any new technology, there's always concerns. Or are there any potential downside to this AI revolution in medicine?
Yeah, I mean, there will always be challenges. It's important to be aware of those. We've already talked about needing more data, the whole black box problem where we don't always understand how the AI came to its conclusion. And it's so important to make sure that AI is being used ethically and responsibly.
Right. It's not about just letting AI make all the decisions. We need human oversight and accountability. It's about striking a balance, right? Using AI to make us better at what we do, not to replace us.
Exactly. AI should be a tool that helps us be smarter, make better decisions, and speed up discoveries.
It's got to be a collaboration. Human ingenuity paired up with AI's analytical power.
Right, and I think that combination is what's really going to change everything.
Well, on that note, I think we should leave our listeners with a thought-provoking question, something to ponder as they go about their day. What possibilities does this AI revolution unlock for you personally? How could it affect your own health, the health of your loved ones, the future of medicine as a whole?
That's something we should all be thinking about. We're at the very beginning of a new era in medicine, an era powered by AI, an era that's full of promise and possibilities.
Thanks for sticking with us on this deep dive into the world of AI in drug design. I hope you found it as exciting as we did. Until next time, keep learning and stay curious.